Hello, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening. I'm very well. What about you?
Doing amazing. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
How did your day go?
Yes, it was overall good, but just before some time, like I got the news that our school is opening from 7th of February. So like I'm excited and still scared because I have my final exams coming and I don't know how well have I prepared. It will be offline. And yes, I'm excited too. Like I'm going to meet my friends after so long time, after 2 years.
After such a long time?
Yes.
Very well. I totally understand how it can be because especially, things like school and colleges, online is not at all like the best option. You
Yes.
prefer to just, stay with your friends and chill with them and talk to them and play around and do some tiny pranks and study together.
Yeah, right. It makes it a lot better. School is about friends only. If you don't have friends, then how can you enjoy what you're studying?
Absolutely. Life itself, I think it's about people, and being with people. So,
Yes.
yes. Okay. I did have a session with you before, right?
Yes, I did.
I did. I did. I remember.
Yeah.
Very well. Nice to see you again, though. I think I'm seeing you after a long time.
Yes, yes, totally.
Okay. So, tell me, do you think that tricky situations often have simple solutions?
Um, yes, sometimes it do have. Like,
Sometimes they do
if
have.
they do have, because everything, if we plan it beforehand, then any tricky situation will become simple. For example, like when architect is making a building, if he plans it, then it will be like too easy for him to make it properly. So it is quite tricky. If you first think about making a building, then you will find it quite tricky. But if you plan it carefully, then after that, it becomes quite simple. So everything depends upon the planning. It does. And yes, I think most of the time, the things that we find it tricky may not be that much tricky in real life. It maybe has a really simple solution behind it that we are missing.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a very good example. Plus, it's also that what is tricky for one person may not be tricky for the other, right? Like I am not good at math, but if you are, then you can solve a tricky thing, which is tricky for me. For you, it's simple.
Yes.
Okay. What are the things that you think make life very beautiful?
I think I think our family,
Very good.
friends,
Mhm.
of course, because like family are the attachment of us to this world. I don't think so anyone will be able to live without somebody that he or she can care of. Means what is the use of life when nobody is caring of you? Means you cannot take care of anybody. That feeling, I don't know how any people will be able to live. So maybe family, relatives, friends are the most important thing, and it is what makes life beautiful.
So you say that taking care of someone, but you also say that when we care about
Care
someone.
about.
Okay, so I think
Yes.
in one of your sentences you'll have to rephrase it and add about. I forgot your sentence, but you had to. Okay,
Okay,
very
okay.
well. Yes, I too agree with you that family is one such thing that makes your heart feel okay, nice.
Yes.
Okay, do you think that we can channelize our anger in a positive way, that it's possible to do that? What do you do when you're very angry?
Yeah, angriness is something like you, the angriness is a thing that you can control, of course. I think every person is angry at a certain time. I don't think there is any person alive on earth
Gets angry. Mhm.
who have never got angry or something. Um, I don't know if angriness will have any positive attitude, but yes, if you are angry, then you are like that. If you want to do a work, if you want to have success in your life, and then you become angry and you try to do it more, then you become like a lot more confident, and I think that works. Yes, that works, and you will be able to reach that success more easily. But I think sometimes we need to control our anger because all I not always anger is good, because I have seen it in real life, because everything can be solved so easily if we were not angry at that moment. Everything gets worse when you're angry and you're quarreling with someone. It doesn't get better, it just gets worse. So I think trying to control your anger is a good thing.
It is. There is a thin line of difference between anger and aggressiveness. So
Yes.
if you're when you spoke about like striving for success, I think it is a valid point that if you're aggressive and you have that aggression to chase
Yes.
something, it really works for you, but not necessarily anger. So try to use the word aggressiveness here. Okay,
Okay.
aggression, which is a bit of a channelized in a positive way.
Yeah.
Okay. So try to imagine the world 50 years from now. Okay. Like, let's go into the future and tell me that how do you think the transportation will be like? What sort of vehicles will we travel in?
First of all, the cars will not run in petrol and diesel, of course. Everything will be electrical, because right now only I think after just a few years, petrol and diesel will be, and I think, completely exhausted. So yes, and I think airplane will be much. I think many people will prefer to go in airplanes, because right now also airplanes are, like, I think so after that economy will also grow, so like many people will have that money to go in airplanes. So yes, air mode will be a quite a popular way of transportation, that's true. And yes, I think I am looking forward to know the designs of those cars. How are they going to look at that time? It's true.
Hmm.
Vehicles are going to be much complex in nature after that. Of course, it will not be like the simple cars that we have now.
Hmm.
Because like years before, the cars were not so complex right now as it is. So of course, 50 years after, it will be much more complex in nature.
Yeah, things like driverless cars can be more
Yes,
could be more popular. I don't know if
yes.
how it will work in India, but but there's a possibility, a huge possibility that they could be more common later in the near future, right? What do you think about crime, the rate of crime? Do you think that the the crimes will increase because with more technology, you also have more scrutiny and surveillance?
Yes.
So do you think that there's a possibility crimes may reduce or no, they're going to increase?
Cyber crimes will increase, because much technology develops, cyber crimes will increase. But it depends upon the economy, because the more money people have in their hand, the more crimes will decrease. Because if they have money, then they will not be able, they don't need to steal something like that. The robbery will decrease. But I think cybercrime and those rate hacking computers and all that, I think those will increase for increasing in technology.
Mm. You have a valid point there again, because when you advance technologically or in other ways, even the crimes advance. The
Yes.
kinds of crimes are different. So you never know, right? There's like a fair balance between both.
uh,
Okay. How do you think the work life will be? You think that people will like how now we worked a lot from home,
yeah, yeah.
from the past 2 years we've been working from home, a lot of us. So do you think that this trend will increase or no, we're going to get back to offices or there's going to be some new style of working for people?
I think so. Work from home will become a quite trend after this lockdown, especially. And after 50 years, I think so. Like people will prefer to work from home if they can. And going to office is quite a hectic thing to do. And as much as technology is increasing, people are trying to make it in their own way, in the way that they don't need to face any problems, they don't need to do much work. So, well, I think work from home will become quite a, I mean, like in every house there will be if one person who will work from home or something like that.
Would you like to work from home or would you like to go to office since you
I
have it
work
now?
from home is great. Like you are just sitting in your house, you're working, and your life is set. I mean, you just don't. And if you can travel anywhere and work from there, like you can travel anywhere, anytime. You don't need holidays or weekends just if you want to travel, you just go to somewhere and then you can work from there if you want. You
Mhm.
There is no thing that you have to stay in your house or work from there. So I think it is quite an advantage.
It is, it is. Do your parents or your family members, do you think that they would have the same opinion as you do about working from home, or they would like to meet people and go out?
I think my parents are going to love to work from home because they love traveling, and I'm sure that they would do anything
Oh,
to work from somewhere other than home.
you
I
love
mean, like,
traveling too?
yes, 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 of course.
Okay, which is the best place that you have been to?
The Yes, Maldives would be the best place that I've visited.
It's so
But
beautiful.
I love sea beaches, and I think that was something iconic. Like, it was so unusual than the other beaches that I've been to. The color was like sea green, totally green in color, and when the sunset was going on, it was like artistic. You could just draw a painting over there, and all the shades of green and shades of blue that was there. It it is so refreshing to just sit on the ground, sit on the beach, and enjoy that moment. So Maldives would forever be my favorite destination.
You really painted a nice picture with your description. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
You can also use turquoise waters, okay? Because usually with the sea, we use turquoise or sea green sort of colors over green. So you can use these. Okay.
Yes.
Tell me, what do you think about transhumanism? That means if there was a possibility in the future that you could add a chip in your body and to just improve something, okay, let's say that you would run really fast if you put that chip. Would you put such a chip in your body just to enhance some skill that you don't have?
Yes, I think when we need it, then it is quite a great option. Suppose someone's kidney has failed or something. If we can just add something, any machine in our body that will make us help to restore it, then of course that is quite a great achievement for the scientists, of course, who are inventing this type of devices. Like right now, we do have that pacemaker, where you can you can put it in your heart, and your heart will function again normally if it has gone something wrong. So, well, I think so. If we need it, like, not just for fun, just if you want to run first, that is not needed. Why do we need to run first? If you need it, like, I also want one thing, that memory. We sometimes forget many things. So if there is a chip that can store our memory, like, hard disk, that if we fit it in our brain and it will store everything, then that is a really nice option, I'd say.
Or then your dreams have come true already because there's a chip like that made by Elon Musk Neuralink or something like that. So you can do exactly that what you mentioned.
Yeah.
So it can store memory and play it again and replay it and fast forward. I don't know what not. So you can check that.
Yeah. So I guess 50 years from now has become present only.
It already has. Any such
Yeah.
skill that you would like to possess? Like, would you want to have the ability to swim fast or in oceans, or maybe play some instrument or do some sort of extraordinary dance form? Maybe any such thing that any skill you would like to possess with this chip?
With this tip, maybe maybe cure people is a nice, really a nice magical power. I don't think so curing people will be so easy. I mean, making that type of chip that can cure any type of disease will be so easy to make. But curing people is, if it happens, then it is going to be like a really good option for me. I totally choose that.
Very thoughtful. I could have never thought of that. So very thoughtful, and I think it's a very nice thing to also wish for, because you're not selfishly wishing just for a skill for yourself, but you also want to help the people around you, and that is a good thing. Very
Totally.
nice.
If you have any disease, then you can cure yourself too.
true. Very
But I
well.
think that would have many cons too. Well, how will people die then if they don't have diseases? So the population rate will increase. That is a true fact.
I can't believe people think you can think so far, but it's very nice to hear.
Yeah.
But, okay, so Adrija, I will try to give you a feedback before we move ahead in the conversation. Okay, so quickly, first the grammatical mistakes. Instead of go to somewhere, go somewhere. Instead of make us help us restore it. Simply help us restore it. Instead of yeah, angriness, everywhere that you used it, you should have used anger. Okay, that I think it's much simpler and better to just say anger is this,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
instead of a quiet trend, quite a trend. So you have those few mistakes. Okay, that very few mistakes. I have to really concentrate if I have to list down those mistakes, because they aren't that big or that many. So just concentrate on those tiny, tiny errors if you just want to perfect it. Otherwise, you speak really well. Not just in the way you speak English or the language, but also the things that you say. Very nice things that you say. They're so mature and so thoughtful. And I really don't know how you're speaking like without thinking. You're just saying everything that is correct and so apt. So very, very good. It really shows the effort that you put in, or how much you've been studying. Maybe that's giving you the knowledge to answer in this manner, right? So please continue that. I would suggest one more thing. On Clapingo, of course, you can answer the questions when we ask you, right? But in your personal life, try to form a habit right from now to even ask the other person about their opinion sometimes. I just ask, what do you think about this? Do you have this a similar perspective? Once or twice, try to ask them. On Clapping, also, you can ask tutors once or twice, not every question, but just to develop that habit of getting into a conversation, right? Because it should not be like I'm an English teacher who's taking your orals. There's a
Yes.
difference, right? I have to make a conversation with you. We are engaging in a discussion, so it has to be that way. Okay, so just try to follow this. I know it's a bit of an adult sort of advice, but I think you can do it. Okay, so try. You can develop that conversational skill from now, because you're already so good at speaking. So try to develop it one by one, and see how it goes. It does make a difference and change the way you speak.